You found this knowledge because it's time to know the truth about that light that millions report seeing at the moment of death. Helena Blavatsky, the woman who unveiled the greatest secrets of world occultism, revealed in a secret interview what this light really represents, and why this information has been kept hidden for more than a century. Every day, people around the world go through near-death experiences and return with the same account, a bright, welcoming light that seems to call out. Doctors say they're hallucinations. Religious people claim it's the path to heaven. But the truth is much deeper and more transformative than any of these explanations. In 1890, just a few months before her death, Helena Blavatsky gave an interview that should never have reached our ears. In it, the founder of the Theosophical Society revealed not only what this mysterious light is, but also why some see it and others don't, what its true purpose is, and most importantly, what happens to those who choose to follow it or resist it. This isn't a common conversation about spirituality. These are revelations that connect the ancient wisdom of Eastern masters with real experiences of people who have been at the border between life and death. Revelations that explain why some people return from death transformed, while others come back exactly as they were. For decades, these words remained buried in the archives of the Theosophical Society, classified as dangerous knowledge for unprepared minds. But the time has come for you to discover that the light at the end of the tunnel isn't what it appears to be. It is, in fact, the first test of a journey that few truly understand. Today you're going to understand why Blavatsky called this light the great illusion that separates the awakened from the sleeping. You're going to discover what really determines whether a person sees this light or not, and most importantly, you'll learn how to prepare for this inevitable moment that all of us will face. Get ready, because what Helena Blavatsky revealed about the light at the end of the tunnel will completely change your understanding of death, life, and what we really are. The first revelation that Blavatsky shared in that secret interview shattered all the beliefs of the era. The light at the end of the tunnel isn't the final destination. It's just the entry portal to the true process of death. People think that seeing the light means they've arrived at paradise, she told the interviewer, but the light is like the door of a house. You can knock on the door, you can even see it shining, but that doesn't mean you've already entered the house. This revelation changes everything you thought you knew about near-death experiences. When someone reports having seen the light and returned, that person actually only made it to the door, but didn't completely cross to the other side. That's why they were able to come back. Imagine you're walking in a dark forest during the night. Suddenly you see a bright light in the distance. Naturally you feel attracted to it, as it represents safety and direction. The light of death works exactly like this. It appears to guide the consciousness that is leaving the physical body. But here's what few know. Not everyone sees this light. According to Blavatsky, only those who developed a certain level of spiritual consciousness during life are able to perceive it. The light has always been there, she explained, but only those who in life learn to see beyond the material world can see it. This means that seeing the light at the end of the tunnel is in fact a sign that you lived a life somehow connected to greater purposes. Not necessarily a perfect life, but a life where there were moments of compassion, search for truth, or connection with something greater than yourself. For those who never developed this spiritual sensitivity, the passage of death happens in a completely different way. They simply fall asleep and go through a slower transition process, without clear awareness of what's happening. Comment what city you're watching from, because this information is reaching exactly the people who need to know this now. But seeing the light is just the first step of a much more complex journey. What Blavatsky revealed about what happens next will surprise you even more. The second revelation by Helena Blavatsky was even more impactful. The light at the end of the tunnel has different intensities and colors, and each one reveals the specific destiny of that soul. There isn't just one light, she explained in the interview. There are layers of light, each corresponding to a different level of spiritual evolution. The color and intensity you perceive determine exactly where your consciousness will be directed. This information was never revealed publicly, because it challenged both Christian beliefs and materialist theories of the time. Blavatsky described that some people see a bright golden light, others a softer silver light, and some perceive bluish tones, or even violet. Think of how a prism separates white light into different colors. Similarly, the light of death manifests in distinct frequencies for each person, based on what they developed internally during life. It's not judgment, it's simply attunement. The golden light appears to those who cultivated wisdom and genuine compassion. These are people who, regardless of their religion or philosophy, lived with hearts open to helping others and seeking greater truths. This light leads them to the highest planes of existence. The silver light manifests for those who developed purity of intention and honesty with themselves. These people may not have been perfect, but they were authentic and always sought to act according to their deepest values. They are directed to spheres of learning and growth. The bluish light appears to those who dedicated their lives to service and caring for others. Nurses, teachers, dedicated parents, anyone who put others' well-being above their own interests. This light takes them to dimensions where they will continue their work of healing and support. But Blavatsky also revealed something disturbing. Some people see a light that seems bright, but has a reddish or dull yellowish tone. This is the light that attracts those who, in life, focused only on power, material wealth, or satisfaction of selfish desires. The most fascinating thing is that each person perceives their light as being the most beautiful and attractive possible. This happens because the light reflects back exactly what the person cultivated as their ideal of perfection. But choosing to follow the light, regardless of which type it is, isn't automatic. And what happens when someone resists it will change your perspective on free will after death. The third revelation by Blavatsky completely shattered the idea that following the light is mandatory. Every soul has the right to refuse the light and choose a different path, but this choice carries consequences that few understand. Free will doesn't end with the death of the body, she revealed. In fact, it becomes even more powerful because the soul is free from physical limitations, but with greater freedom comes greater responsibility for choices. This revelation was revolutionary for the time and continues to be today. It means that no one is forced to follow the light. Some souls simply observe it and decide they're not ready for that transition yet. Others feel they have unfinished business and choose to return. Imagine being at the door of a house where your family lives, but you feel you forgot something important in the car. You can choose to enter anyway, or you can go back to get what you forgot. The difference is that, on the spiritual plane, going back can mean reincarnation. Blavatsky explained that souls who refuse the light because they feel incomplete frequently return to physical life to finish what they started. It's not punishment. It's a conscious choice to continue learning on the material plane. This explains why some children demonstrate talents or knowledge that seem to come from other lives. But there's another more concerning type of refusal. Some souls reject the light because it reveals a truth about themselves that they're not ready to face. The light functions as a spiritual mirror that shows exactly who you became during life. For souls who lived in denial of their own actions or who built a false image of themselves, this reflection can be disturbing. They prefer to remain in an intermediate zone, a kind of spiritual limbo, rather than confront this truth. These souls become trapped between worlds, revealed Blavatsky. They're no longer in physical life, but they also haven't crossed to the next stage. They create around themselves a kind of bubble made of their own illusions and memories. This explains many paranormal phenomena that people report. Ghosts, presences, haunted houses. They're often souls who refused the light and became trapped in repetitive patterns based on their strongest memories or unresolved traumas. The most interesting thing is that even these trapped souls can change their minds at any time. The light never completely disappears. It continues there, waiting, until the soul feels ready to face the truth about itself and move forward. But when someone finally decides to follow the light, what happens next goes beyond any description of heaven or hell you've ever heard. The fourth revelation that Helena Blavatsky shared was the most transformative of all. Following the light doesn't take you to a physical place. It transports you into your own purified consciousness, where you experience the reality you created with your thoughts and actions during life. People expect to find heavenly gardens or golden palaces, she explained, but what they find is much more intimate and personal. They find the purified reflection of everything they cultivated internally during their earthly existence. This revelation challenges all conventional descriptions of life after death. There isn't a standardized heaven where everyone experiences the same thing. Instead, each soul creates its own experience, based on what it developed as most elevated during life. Think of how each person has unique dreams, created by their own mind. Similarly, the post-death experience is deeply personal and reflects exactly who you became spiritually. A person who cultivated love for music might find themselves in a realm where harmony and sonic beauty are the very structure of reality. Someone who developed deep compassion for animals might experience a dimension where they live in perfect harmony with all creatures. A soul that sought knowledge and wisdom might find themselves in vast libraries of light where all knowledge of the universe is accessible. But here's the most fascinating aspect. This experience isn't an external reward you receive. It's literally the external manifestation of what you became internally. Your consciousness becomes the environment around you. That's why, revealed Blavatsky, two people who lived similar lives can have completely different experiences after death. It doesn't matter what they did externally, but how those actions transformed their inner being. This means that a rich person who used their wealth to help others will have a completely different experience from a rich person who used their wealth only for themselves. Similarly, a poor person who lived with generosity and gratitude can experience infinite abundance, while a poor person who lived with bitterness might continue experiencing scarcity. The most revolutionary thing is that this experience isn't static. As your consciousness continues evolving even after death, your reality also transforms. You literally continue growing and expanding your experience. Blavatsky compared this to a seed that can finally grow without soil limitations. During physical life, we face material obstacles that limit the complete expression of our spiritual nature. After death, these limitations disappear, and we can fully experience what we cultivated. If you want to know how far this information is reaching, write in the comments what city you're watching from. This revelation is reaching specific people who are ready to understand. But there's something even more impressive about this consciousness journey. What Blavatsky revealed about encounters with other souls will completely transform your understanding of eternal relationships. The fifth revelation by Helena Blavatsky brought a truth that comforts and at the same time creates responsibility. After crossing the light, you inevitably encounter all the people who profoundly impacted your life, but the nature of these encounters depends entirely on how you treated them. Death doesn't separate souls that truly connected, she revealed in the interview, nor does it free from responsibilities those who caused unnecessary pain. Every meaningful relationship continues, but now without the masks and pretenses we used in physical life. This revelation completely changed the understanding of eternal relationships. It's not about everyone meeting at a big heavenly party. Instead, you're naturally attracted to souls with whom you have genuine bonds, while experiencing a process of reconciliation with those you hurt. Imagine how liberating it is to finally be able to communicate with someone you loved, without any of the physical or emotional limitations that existed on Earth, without insecurities, without misunderstandings, without wounded pride, just the pure essence of the love you shared. Blavatsky described that couples who had true love recognize each other instantly, not by the physical appearance they had, but by the unique vibration of their souls. Parents and children who loved each other deeply experience an even more intimate union than they ever had in physical life. Genuine friendships transform into eternal partnerships of growth and discovery. People who helped each other during difficult times form groups of souls that continue supporting each other in increasingly elevated dimensions. But she also revealed the more challenging side of this truth. Those you intentionally hurt, those you betrayed, or those you were cruel to also appear. Not to punish you, but so you can finally resolve what remained pending between your souls. This encounter isn't a court of justice, explained Blavatsky. It's an opportunity for healing. The soul that caused pain finally completely understands the impact of its actions, while the soul that was hurt has the chance to release any resentment it was still carrying. The most transformative thing is that, in this state of expanded consciousness, both souls see the entire situation from a much broader perspective. They understand the unhealed wounds, fears, and limitations that led to those conflicts. This doesn't justify harmful actions, but it allows for genuine understanding and healing. Some souls that caused much suffering voluntarily choose to return to physical life to have the opportunity to repair the damage they caused. Not because of external obligation, but because of a genuine desire to grow and heal what they broke. The most beautiful aspect of this revelation is that no true love is ever lost. All authentic connections you made during life continue and deepen. You don't just reunite with those you loved, you also discover that you're part of a spiritual family much larger than you imagined. But there's an even more surprising discovery waiting for you. What Blavatsky revealed about communication with those who are still alive will change how you understand the signs you receive from departed loved ones. The sixth revelation that Helena Blavatsky shared broke down the barriers between life and death. Souls who have crossed the light maintain the ability to communicate with those who are still in physical life, but this communication follows specific spiritual laws that few understand. The death of the body doesn't interrupt love, she revealed. A mother who departed continues caring for her children. A husband continues watching over his wife. But the way this protection manifests obeys principles that transcend our material understanding. This revelation offers immense comfort to those who have lost loved ones, but it also brings responsibilities that few people consider. Communication between dimensions doesn't happen through words or dramatic appearances. It flows through synchronicities, intuitions, and a subtle language of signs. Think of how you sometimes have the clear sensation that someone who departed is nearby. It's not imagination. It's the natural way souls communicate when they're not limited by physical bodies. They influence through energy, not through matter. Blavatsky explained that people who have departed frequently try to send guidance through dreams, especially during difficult moments in the lives of those who are still here. But for this communication to happen, the living person needs to be emotionally receptive and spiritually open. A soul in excessive grief creates a barrier of sadness that prevents this communication, she revealed. Paradoxically, those who most desire signs are frequently those least capable of receiving them, because pain is blocking their perception. That's why many people report that they began to perceive the presence of loved ones only months or years after the initial loss. When intense pain diminishes and gives way to loving longing, communication becomes possible again. Another fascinating aspect is that departed souls frequently send signs through things that were meaningful to the relationship. A song playing at the exact moment you were thinking of them, an animal appearing repeatedly, important numbers or dates showing up in unexpected situations. But Blavatsky also warned about a danger. Not all communication with the spiritual world comes from elevated sources. Souls that became trapped between dimensions, those who refused the light, can also try to communicate, but they frequently transmit confusion, fear, or attach themselves harmfully to the living. That's why, she explained, it's essential that those seeking communication with the dead first cultivate purity of intention and spiritual protection. Genuine communication with elevated souls always brings peace, love, and constructive guidance. If communication generates fear, obsession, or dependency, it doesn't come from a luminous source. The most comforting thing about this revelation is knowing that genuine love creates eternal bridges. A grandmother who deeply loved her grandchildren continues sending protection and guidance, even if they don't consciously perceive it. A father who departed continues proud of his children's achievements and finds subtle ways to celebrate with them. This communication also works in reverse. When you mentally send love, gratitude, or forgiveness to someone who departed, that energy reaches them instantly. Your prayers, your loving words directed to them, your moments of loving longing, all of this is received and deeply appreciated. But there's something even more powerful about this eternal connection. What Blavatsky revealed about how our loved ones prepare us for our own moment of crossing the light will transform how you see the current challenges of your life. The seventh revelation by Helena Blavatsky brought a completely new perspective on suffering. Loved ones who have already crossed the light frequently orchestrate events and encounters in the lives of those who are still here, preparing them spiritually for their own moment of transition. Those who departed before us become our invisible guides, she revealed. They can see our journey from a much broader perspective and, with infinite love, help create situations that accelerate our spiritual growth. This revelation completely changes how we understand coincidences and challenges in our lives. That unexpected encounter that changed your perspective, that book that reached you at the exact moment you needed that message, that person who appeared to help you when you most needed it, they're often subtle influences from souls who love you and want to see you grow. Imagine an experienced gardener who knows exactly when each plant needs water, light, or specific nutrients. Similarly, loved ones who have evolved spiritually can perceive when you're ready for certain lessons or growth opportunities. But Blavatsky also revealed something deeper. Frequently, the greatest challenges of our life are preparations so we can deal with our own death more consciously and serenely. Not that they cause these challenges, but they help us find strength and wisdom through them. A person who never faced losses or difficulties arrives at death emotionally unprepared, she explained. But one who learned to find peace in the middle of storms has already developed the serenity necessary to cross the light with full consciousness. This means that when you overcome a fear, when you learn to forgive someone who hurt you, when you find purpose in the middle of suffering, you're being prepared for a smoother and more conscious transition when your time comes. The signs of this guidance are subtle but constant. You might feel a strong intuition about a certain decision. You might experience inexplicable peace during difficult moments, or you might find strength in yourself that you didn't even know you possessed. These are frequently loving influences from those who have already departed. Blavatsky also revealed that some people have dreams where deceased loved ones guide them about specific situations. These dreams have a different quality. They're more vivid, more loaded with meaning, and frequently bring information or advice that the person couldn't have created alone. A particularly comforting aspect is that people who have had significant losses frequently develop sharper intuition and greater ability to perceive spiritual signs. This happens because the experience of loss forced them to expand their perception beyond the purely material world. Pain, when accepted and transformed into compassion, opens doors of perception that remain closed to those who live only on the surface, revealed Blavatsky. If you've been perceiving signs, synchronicities, or guidance that seems to come from loved ones, leave a comment telling your experience. It's important that these stories are shared so others know they're not imagining things. But there's a final revelation about this spiritual guidance that will change how you see your own life purpose. What Blavatsky discovered about our real mission here on Earth connects everything you've lived until now. The eighth revelation by Helena Blavatsky brought the deepest purpose behind human existence. Each life is a unique opportunity to develop specific qualities of the soul that will be our eternal contribution to the evolution of universal consciousness. No one is born by chance into a particular family, era, or circumstances, she revealed. Each soul consciously chooses the scenario that will offer the necessary experiences to develop exactly the qualities it came to learn in this existence. This revelation completely transforms how we see our challenges and natural talents. Your difficulties aren't punishments from past lives. They're opportunities carefully chosen, so you can develop strength, compassion, wisdom, or other specific qualities that your soul came to cultivate. Think of how an athlete consciously chooses exercises that strengthen exactly the muscles he needs to develop. Similarly, your soul consciously chose the experiences of this life to develop exactly the spiritual qualities it came to perfect. If you were born into a family where you needed to learn patience, your soul came to develop that virtue. If you faced situations that required courage, your soul came to strengthen that quality. If you went through experiences that forced you to develop compassion for those who suffer, that was your spiritual mission. Blavatsky explained that when we cross the light after death, we take with us not our material possessions or social achievements, but rather the character qualities we developed. These qualities become our permanent contribution to the evolution of collective consciousness. Every soul that develops more love makes the entire universe more loving, she revealed. Every person who cultivates more wisdom adds that wisdom to the common treasure of humanity. Every individual who learns to forgive makes forgiveness more available to everyone. This means your life has a much greater impact than you imagine, not just on the people around you, but on the very spiritual evolution of all humanity. You're not just an isolated individual. You're a conscious cell in the larger organism of human consciousness. The most transformative thing is realizing that your greatest struggles are frequently connected to your greatest mission. The person who overcame addictions can help others find liberation. Those who went through depression and found light can guide others through darkness. Those who learned to love after betrayals can teach about genuine forgiveness. Blavatsky also revealed that some souls choose more challenging lives because they're at more advanced stages of evolution and can handle more intense lessons. This doesn't mean they're better than others. It means they're at different phases of development. Don't judge a soul's evolution by the ease of its life, she warned. Some of the most evolved souls choose the most difficult existences to be able to contribute more deeply to humanity's transformation. When you understand that you came here with a specific mission, everything in your life gains new meaning. Your natural talents are tools to fulfill this mission. Your challenges are development opportunities. Your connections with other people are planned encounters for mutual growth. The most beautiful thing is that this mission doesn't end with death. The qualities you develop here become part of who you are eternally, and you'll continue using these qualities to help others, whether on the spiritual plane or in future incarnations. But there's a final revelation that connects all of this to the present moment. What Blavatsky discovered about how to use this knowledge to transform your current life will be the most valuable gift you can give yourself. The final revelation by Helena Blavatsky transformed the interview from esoteric knowledge into a practical manual for living. When you truly understand what the light at the end of the tunnel represents, you stop fearing death and start living with the awareness that each day is a precious opportunity to prepare your soul for this inevitable journey. The greatest secret, she revealed, isn't knowing what happens after death. The greatest secret is living each day as if you were going to cross the light tonight. This changes everything. Your priorities, your choices, your relationships, your inner peace. This final perspective transformed the lives of all who understood her words. When you know you'll only take the character qualities you developed, you stop worrying so much about material accumulation and start investing in inner growth. When you understand you'll reunite with all those you loved, you treat the important people in your life better. Imagine living knowing that every act of kindness you practice becomes a permanent part of who you are. Every moment of compassion, every gesture of forgiveness, every choice of love over fear, all of this is building the person you'll be when you cross the light. Blavatsky explained that people who understand these truths develop a natural serenity in the face of life's difficulties. They know they're here to learn and grow, so they face challenges as opportunities instead of punishments. They cultivate deeper relationships because they know these connections are eternal. More importantly, they stop wasting energy on resentments, unnecessary fears, or pursuit of things that have no real value. Instead, they focus on what really matters, developing love, wisdom, compassion, and authenticity. A person who lives conscious of their eternal nature, she revealed, experiences more peace in 1 year than many experience in an entire lifetime of spiritual unconsciousness. This awareness also transforms how you deal with the loss of loved ones. Instead of total despair, you feel a loving longing mixed with gratitude for having shared time with these special souls. You know, this isn't a definitive goodbye, but just a temporary separation. The knowledge also changes how you treat difficult people in your life. When you understand that everyone is here learning lessons, you develop more patience and compassion even with those who challenge you. You realize they're also souls in evolution, perhaps dealing with lessons more difficult than yours. Blavatsky ended the interview with powerful practical guidance. Every night before sleeping, ask yourself, if I crossed the light tonight, would I be at peace with who I became today? If the answer is no, you know exactly what you need to change tomorrow. This simple exercise aligns your daily life with your spiritual preparation. It helps you identify when you're straying from what really matters and brings you back to the path of genuine growth. Now you have in your hands the knowledge that Helena Blavatsky considered so powerful that it was kept hidden for more than a century. You know what the light at the end of the tunnel really represents, how to prepare for this moment, and most importantly, how to use this wisdom to transform your current life. If this revelation touched your heart, share this knowledge with other people who are ready to understand. Leave a comment telling how these revelations impacted your perspective. Subscribe to the channel to receive more transformative knowledge. And most importantly, start today living like someone who knows that death is just a passage to an even more beautiful journey. Remember, you didn't find this information by chance. Your soul was ready to receive these truths. Now it's up to you to decide how you'll use this knowledge to create a life more conscious, loving, and prepared for the inevitable moment when you yourself will see that bright light calling you home.